man. Your show's gonna be awesome, bro. Your show's gonna be awesome.
I forgot to unmute the mic. Okay, Tanatapi. Natanako Mateo Kawan. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Little Dog, and you are watching today's Entertainers with Little Dog. And today we have an amazing show. I actually have a really good friend on today. His name is Cecil, and I don't want to mess up his last name. Higginbotham?
Sounds very indigenous, yes. Higginbotham.
Higginbotham. And so, but right before we get into that and we get introduced to him, I'm going to go over my intro. So, first off, the first thing that we like to do is we like to thank our sponsors for today's show, which one of our sponsors is Alpine Roofing and Solar. We want to thank you guys for, sponsoring the show as well as being a huge support, as well as my main source of income that I do here. This is actually my card. What I do is I actually do a lot of roofing. We also do some solar, but majority of our business is actually roofing. And so that is actually my cell phone number right there. You guys can give me a call, schedule me for an inspection. I do photos as well as roofing reports. So if you're getting ready to move, I do the inspection and I generate a report for your realtor. So give me a call. I'm more than happy to help you guys out. Now, as far as the roofing goes, I do full assist. So I can help with doing the initial inspection, seeing if it'll actually qualify. And there's two ways that I look at the roof. One, either to qualify right off the bat, or two, is it worth fighting for? But the way the insurance is getting nowadays, it's been more of, is it worth fighting for? If the answer is no, I come down, I let you know, hey, your roof is actually still pretty good, which is something that I actually do quite often. Actually, a majority of the roofs that I get off of, I'll tell people, hey, your roof is still good. There are some cases where there is a necessity to change it out, which is something that I am able to do, help with filing the claim, meeting the adjuster, and getting it approved for you. So if either way that you need help, just give me a call and I'll be there to help you guys out. Uh, their sponsor for today's episode is actually Isaiah's Renovations. You can call them for free estimates. They did sponsor this episode by being able to pay for this entire month. So we appreciate Isaiah's Renovations for your assistance. Give them a call. Free estimates, home remodeling. There's just some of the services right there, along with the cell phone to contact and email address. Now, going into this, we do have a announcement, and we will be talking about this a little bit later on. But there's a powwow coming up on the 4th, on Saturday, this Saturday to be specific. And so, you know, don't tune in. This is, don't tune in. Tune in. Come and show up. Check it out.
Go ahead, just,
Yeah, just don't worry about it. No, we're done. No one's mind. Anyways, we'll be talking a little bit more about this here in a little bit on today's episode. So, as well as a lot more exciting stuff than just me. So, I'm excited about that. These we will actually be there as well. The DFW Kombucha Totally demonstration team. We will be in the gym area on the the Maverick building for UTA. So come and check it out. Check out the stickball team. Jump in with us. We do teach a lot of the people over there who come to show up and teach the kids a little bit about Kabucha Toli, as well as we do demonstrations. And it's a interactive demonstration, so y'all are welcome to join us out there. We'll teach you guys what to do. All right. The other one that we have as well is the Texas School Board of Education. Now, their vote to renew did happen and they did approve it, but they approved it as an elective. So the fight still continues and the battle still goes on as we are trying to get it as a creditable class because, I mean, as an elective, you don't get credit for it. And again, it's something that we are still here and we are still thriving. That we're in all of today's societies. We're in politics. We're in sports. We're in the Olympics. It's just for some weird reason, everybody seems to think that we've kind of disappeared, which we haven't. So go ahead and show them some support by going to the American Indian Native Studies page. All right. So I will have some QR codes later on for them. I need to update mine. So be looking out for that, as well as I'll be putting out some reels. All right. So we thank and appreciate everybody who is showing up to watch, and we have an extremely great show. I am very happy to announce that Cecil is here with us. Now, I'm going to throw up a show for to help support it while I reset the camera. 'Cause I don't have a video for him.
I don't do video. I don't look good in try to avoid pictures and everything.
And your mic was on for that, by the way. Yeah. A lot of times what I do is I do a video and we'll do an intro video to introduce us. Now, there we go. I will remove that right there. All right, Cecil.
All right, so
Camera's not big enough for the both of us.
no, that's why I try to avoid cameras.
No, it's all right. I mean, look, I'm just as white too. So, anyways, Cecil, go ahead and give us an introduction of who you are and what is it that you do.
So my name is Cecil Higginbotham. I help co-host a radio show called Beyond Bows and Arrows, which is the shirt that I am wearing. And I was going to bring a backup shirt. We were going to display it, and I forgot it. Thought I had it in my truck, and it's for a another show that I do. But with Beyond Bows and Arrows, it's the longest running Native American radio show in Texas. It's been running since the 80s. And they play every Sunday night from 6 to 8 p.m. and we play Native American music. We also discuss Native American community events.
Mm-hmm.
And since we are a very intertribal city, the music is just be Native American. It's not always powwow music. There's contemporary music as well, flute music, just, traditional and contemporary. And then based off of that, I've been with the show a little over 2 years now. And one of the first times I walked in, the station had a podcast booth. And I saw the podcast booth and knew immediately, like, was talking to our show host, Albert Oldcrow. He's been with the show for 23 or 26 years now. And I was telling him we need to start a podcast and just do talking. People like the radio show, but people also want to hear us interact. Of our listeners, they just want to hear natives talking about being native.
Yeah.
And he agreed, and I presented it to the station. Never heard back. And then almost 2 years later, I was at an event listening to Albert Oldcrow mediate with Native American book author, and I've said his name like 4 times today. Something Brave Noise Cat. Anyway, he had a biography movie done as well about the culture, and Julian Noyes Brave Cat. And great book if you would like to check it out. But we were watching him do the mediation with that, and our station manager was sitting behind me. And afterwards, he was asking me some questions, and then he led on with, I remember you sending me a message about creating a podcast. And so he said, I think we can move forward with that. And so that's what we do is every Thursday night from 8 to 10. Laviama's been on with us. We just talk about Native American culture and community events as well.
Yeah.
And just laugh and have a good time. And
I have one of your posters, actually. I'll put it up real quick, okay?
Sure. Yeah, so that's the Ndgns show. That is what it's. I get a lot of questions on social media. What does Ndgns stand for? And tell them it's not an acronym, but it's a shortened version of Indigenous.
Yeah.
And apparently there's can you make it pop back up? Because then I'll see it. And people ask me, does it stand for Ndgns? Ndgns. And apparently that is maybe it's a northern way of an acronym of saying Indigenous as well.
Huh.
But I've gotten a couple of questions of thinking that that's what it's saying is the Ndgns. So I was like, no, it was just I was trying to create t-shirts and things, and I thought, I kind of want a, your own little logo or whatever. And so I had a turtle for Turtle Island and had the Indigenous logo in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I liked the way that it came up with the font and everything, and just thought,
yeah.
Whenever they said you have a show, like, what do I want to name it? Like, I've got a name, so I went with that.
That's pretty cool. That's actually a pretty cool way that it came up with that.
So I enjoyed it, and that's why when I do make a post every once in a while, it says the word pronounced Ndgns
Yeah.
for those that, you know. And then I think enough people have heard, the ones that have listened to the show have seen it and go, oh, that's what it means. So we'll
Nice.
see.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, actually, up in Montana, we were the running Indians was the school. But everybody up there was telling me, the way that you say it is Indians, Indians,
Indians.
And so whenever we go up there, they were like, "No, we're the running Indians." And so whenever I saw it, I kind of caught on a little bit quickly, and I was
Right.
like, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense." But so how long have y'all been? How many episodes are y'all in on your
On the
podcast?
Ndgns show,
Mhm.
we started 2 weeks before Christmas, so just a
Nice.
little over 3 months.
Okay.
And the show still feels brand new, but it also feels like we've been going at it for a while already, if that makes any sense. It's
That makes sense.
yeah, and it's just, and I look at, and the show is 2 hours a week, and it consumes more of my time than I really thought it was going to. I thought it would be super easy to just, you can walk in a studio and, I can improvise this. And no, it's from the very first show, I went home, created a Excel spreadsheet, like a timeline with just subject matter of what we could talk about.
Yeah.
And I tried to set the timeline precise, like, oh, we'll talk about this for 5 minutes, this for 5 minutes, and it does not. So it's just kind of like almost like storylines or storybooks or whatever. This is what you can cover. And so sometimes by the end of the night, we've never even touched some of the topics that we have on the list. And had a couple of shows where we went through it too quick, depending on your guest of how much they. It's not that they're not social, but they just go through it quickly and kind of sitting there with like, oh man, like let's create some content real quick.
Yeah.
So
No, I get it, and that kind of happens here too. Now it happens the other way around though for me. Well, let's say about it goes about an hour to 2 hours. Next thing you know, or usually about an hour. About 2 hours later, we're still talking.
yeah, right.
Sometimes in season one, it would actually go about 3 to 4 hours. And so I was like, man, I wonder if anybody's even watching still.
Right. And so I felt bad last week. We had Esperanza on from the Brown Berets.
Okay.
And that one, I was hoping that Cheyenne would actually carry that show. I felt that I had booked the guest well before Eli and Cheyenne became the co-host, but because it was a subject that I thought was pretty important. And
Yeah.
but we try not to be too political on the show. But I still thought it was something of a good one to have. And then when Cheyenne joined, because of things that she had commented about with other issues outside of the show, it's like this is her show for the night. And we had times where, because I had Eli behind the board with me,
Yeah.
that we would shut my mic off because I'm back there talking to Eli and trying to train Eli on the board, because there's going to be a time where maybe I can't make the show, but we still got to go on.
Yeah.
So they both have to know how to run the board back there and operate everything. And so we'd turn off the mic and we'd sit back there about 5 minutes, kind of talking and giggling on our own where you guys couldn't hear it. And she and Esperanza were carrying on like nothing was gone, nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So, and it was nice to see that, she had the ability to not be the host if needed. So
That's pretty awesome.
so
Yeah.
it was good. It was a good feeling. And we'll all get there on the board. The board's not that hard, but if you've just been thrown over there, it's completely new. So it becomes very repetitious, and it's not that hard.
Nice. So, that's pretty cool. That's why, for me, all I have is this laptop is my control center. So that's why, like, sometimes whenever you watch me, I'm looking this way, is because I had it to the side, where season one, it was always right in front of me.
Right.
And so I was looking right at the camera, looking right here and up and down. Made it a lot easier. But back then, I was actually doing a lot of remote interviews as well too. And so, I did used to have a producer that helped me out, but a lot of chaos came out of that. And so I ended up separating. So now I'm looking for another personality to kind of add with me, so that way I can, I do acting.
Right.
So sometimes I'm not available on Tuesdays, but I do want the show to continue to go on rather than it just being a missed episode.
Well, with mine, whenever I knew I was going to have the show, I knew I needed a co-host. You need someone to bounce things off with, that way, because if it's just yourself, your subjects could probably tend to always be the same. You heard this spiel from me already, but and then once we had our first co-host was actually Wesley Rohde.
Mm.
But even with Wesley there, I would tell my wife that we need a third co-host and we need it to be a female so that we're not just getting the male perspective on everything.
Yeah.
And it'd always be the same, kind of the same thing. You're always going to get the same social aspect out of it, I guess. I don't know what word. I get
Yeah.
horrible of trying to explain these things, but we needed the females
Perspective. And also it adds a little bit more personality because they tend to be a little bit more high pitched, and it's not like everybody's not talking low, and then people kind of get this glazed look over their eyes like
I don't think that I have a low voice. I feel like I have like a squeaky Mike Tyson voice kind of thing. But I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do not have a low. Um, I had posted a picture of I was at my mother's funeral,
Mhm.
and I was up there speaking. Someone had recorded me talking, and then someone had recorded my brother talking at the funeral as well. And I was at work the next day, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, man, like your brother, he sounds like an Indian. He had that very deep baritone type voice, and mine's up there. So feel like I'm like Mickey Mouse or something, So which is probably squeaky anyway. Like you're sad and sentimental for the day, so it's having a rough time with. But yeah, I've always pictured that I sound very annoying, which is very funny to have a talk show, right? So
I think you sound pretty good actually on the radio. I've heard it too. It's on the KNON Now app.
KNONnow.org or
There you go.
KNONNOW.org.
There you go.
Or you can download the KNON app.
And that's what I downloaded it.
And so if you download the KNON app, it says KNON on it, but it also has the Dallas City skyline. So that's the one that you would want to download.
And make sure you're on the Now tab, because I found that out whenever I was trying to listen the first time.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, I don't see anything.
Right. Yeah. If you're listening by the app at the top, it has a KNON tab and a KNON Now, because it is when we do the Beyond Bows and Arrows radio show, we are on the radio, and KNON Now is streaming. So yeah, they have the ability to run two different shows at the same time from their location.
That is actually really cool to be able to do. I can only run one on my own. So I'm trying to share this to my story, because a lot of the times what I do is whenever I kind of get things going a little bit early on, I do like to try to do a little bit more. Now, I've been trying to do Instagram Live, which it doesn't save, and I got to use a product key, and it just gets really complicated because I got to stay on the page. But, have you guys had any issues with, expanding the show, getting listeners or anything like that? What has been y'all's biggest challenge?
The downside is that we don't know who's listening.
Mm-hmm.
With it being a radio station, we still don't know how many people actually listen. But day one, I went on all social media. Well, for me, all social media that I work with is just the three: Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And our very first show, we had someone chime in from Florida.
Nice.
And I would assume that they probably saw TikTok and, probably listened in from the very first one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're still there. They've never chimed in again, but it was just saying that they were listening in from Florida.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty cool. Show number one that social media did get out there at some point.
Yeah.
Have you ever done TikTok Live? Do you have enough of a following yet?
Actually, I do on my personal one,
Uh-huh.
which is why I tend to do everything off of my personal one. It's just StreamYard doesn't exactly do TikTok Live, and so I would need to do that on my own through my phone. That's why I was telling you the idea where I want to get another tripod and go TikTok Live, kind of like a behind the scenes kind of thing. I think that would be kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, finally received notification that I could do TikTok Live events. So I guess you had to have at least more than 10 followers. So I got at least 11 at that point. But I still haven't done a TikTok Live. But I do get feedback from people just liking the post of what I put on there. To try to bring something in every week for the show. And so there's always new followers tagging on after I make a new post for the week or whatever.
Yeah.
And I haven't been doing what I wanted to I need to get on there and do actual, like you're saying, I don't have any videos. I used to do videos for Beyond Bows and Arrow. Beyond Bows and Arrows. I would sit out in the parking lot before the show and be like, hey, in 30 minutes, we're on the air. And then I had videos of like a blooper of how many times it took me to get that little 30-second clip. And it was like 20 different tries. So it's like, 10 times the speed going through every one of them.
Yeah.
And just realize, and laughing like, man, that's crazy. It's hard, to feel natural while you're purposely speaking into it. So see, I couldn't do what you like to do. There's a couple of reasons why I couldn't do what y'all like to do. Talking about acting. As you see, I probably have that glistening look right now from it's a little warm today.
It's all right. It's like, oh.
But they're always having to do makeup. They'd probably be like, geez, this guy sweats all the time. And it'd be like a big old giant powder.
Well, they give you a napkin, you dab it.
So, and then have the prickly hair. So then there'd be like little paper spots all over my head where my, you don't know what I'm talking about, but if you were, those of you that are bald know what I'm talking about.
Like,
you take a napkin and rub it across, and if your hair is stubbles, sometimes cheap napkins, it'll tear it apart and you have like little, it happens in other areas too. But,
we have one of our viewers said, hey, sorry, I'm like, shame. No, I'm just playing. No, I appreciate it. No, actually, I've been surprised because sometimes I'll have it because I do, like I said, I did a lot of remote interviews for season 1, which I think I'm about actually bringing back for season 2. It's just some of the people in the other parts of the world are at different time zones. Right. And so for them, it'd be like 10 p.m. Over here, it's 4.
Yeah.
And so it kind of messes with the timing a little bit. But that's how I was able to actually spread my reach, was from bringing them to do remote interviews. And so then now whenever I check it out, sometimes it doesn't look like at the same time there's not a whole lot of viewers. Right. But then whenever I look at my analytics, it says England, Ireland, Australia. Every once in a while I have somebody chime in that says, hey, watching from Egypt. And I'm like, hey, cool. Cool. And so, but I know that's harder to do on the radio. Because y'all would have to have somebody call in, right?
Yeah.
Man.
So, and we're toying with the calling in, because I have a couple of people that I want to reach out to. One is I don't know if you know, it's a group that I'm a fan of called the Dead Pioneers. And I've
heard of them actually.
It's a punk group. And then the lead singer is a Native American guy.
Yeah. And
so he has a song called Bad Indian. And it's a fun song, but he has a lot of, he's very political, but he's a musician and artist, just like, painting and poet. Whatever event they had here in Fort Worth last year, he was the one that did the paintings on the wall.
Okay.
And then he came up one day and also had a talking event there. And I was he had came out and introduced the artist that I was there to watch was Ray Zaragoza. I liked watching her sing or listening to her sing, but I did like watching her sing as well. So I guess
it's a double.
But yeah, and he introduced her, and then as the show started, he walked off stage or the area, and I thought, man, after the show, I'm gonna go talk to him. And I thought, no, I'm gonna do it right now. And I went out to find him, and he had literally walked out the door, got in a car, and left.
Oh wow!
And so I hit him up on Instagram that I would like to meet him. And he was like, hit him up anytime. And I also have a friend that has also interacted with him. Says he would love to call him, and he would.
That's cool.
Discuss how he became. He didn't go out seeking to be a lead singer of a band. He says it's just one of those things that just kind of happened. Yeah. I guess he knew some guys, and they threw him out there on a mic and took off with it. So
that's actually from the people even in the acting world. And even some of the ones in the music too, because I've had several different musicians on here, and that seems to be the most successful way of actually making it out. I didn't mean to do it; it just happened.
The same thing with the radio show. I was at home working on beadwork, and my wife is doing school, like online school, and so I would sit in the kitchen and have an earbud in and listening to Albert, Jessica, and Corey, and Albert would always say, I'm not a young guy anymore, folks. And, if any of you'd like to come up here and just watch or answer phones or anything like that, I'm like, man, I live 5 miles from the studio. I'm going to talked to Jessica, and she was like, "Yeah, you should come on up here." So I came on up and sat through a show with them for 2 hours, and came back the next week. They never told me to go home. And the following week, and then before long, Albert's like, "Hey, you need to come over here and be behind a board and learn how to do this." And yeah, I never thought I was going to have my own, and now here I am. I have my own little talk show, and I say little because we don't know how big it is, how many people listen. And but I enjoy it. It makes my week go by faster that I participate in 2 different radio shows.
That's
So,
awesome.
and yeah, it's been a ton of fun.
That's awesome. Now, just to give context, because I like to let people know, because everybody's like, well, I do this for work. It has nothing to do with media. I do this, it has nothing to do with it, but I want to give a shot, but they're scared, they're
Yeah.
afraid. So I like to give people backgrounds of what we do for a living. What do you do for a living?
Now I work in security,
Mhm.
like, fake badge security. But before that, I had worked at a place we recycled paper.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you bought something that comes in a box, there were big chances that we made the paper that made that box. And you would never realize how much goes into making boxes. And it was really cool. There's a lot of science in the recycling of paper to make it go from trash back to a product.
Hmm.
And so, but I worked at that location for, I was 1 week shy of 26 years, and they shut the door on everybody. And so I'd never been unemployed for 26 years. And they gave a severance package. So after being there for 26 years, I had a pretty decent severance package for being what that was, and took some time off and enjoyed some time. And then it became where my wife was like, "All right, you need to get a job. You're using up all your stuff." But no, I really needed the job because then it was cool at first, and then it started losing its
Start getting bored, right?
yeah, it starts getting bored. And you get so bored you feel like you don't have time to do things. Like, oh, I only have this much, if I get all this out, the kids are going to be home from school, blah blah blah. You're making your own excuses of not to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, I will say today I did do something, a little one of those honeydews or whatever you're supposed to do, where I had to do some toilet work a couple of months ago, and that was nasty. But I had to put new screws in, and the screws are like this long, but your plastic caps are only this big. So if you are watching Jill, if you look, you probably already noticed those little caps are on the I went out there and used a little saw on it today. I have been procrastinating on that job for like 2 months.
Yeah.
It took me like 2 minutes to do it. I mean, it's just one of those things. That's just what you do. Like, oh, I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later.
Yeah.
And you don't.
Next thing you know, later is a couple months later.
Yes, a couple months. So.
No, I understand. And for those of you who have tuned in recently, just remember this is an interactive interview. So as long as your comments are, not bad or inappropriate, they will pop up on the screen and we can actually ask our guests these questions. Okay.
Yeah.
So just a heads up. And so just let us know. Okay.
And I will tell you that he has this very pretty couch that I'm sitting on. And I thought it was like I was walking into the Titanic. That's what I told him and my wife.
Like he asked me to draw him.
Yeah, draw me like those French girls.
We'll do that later. No, that'll be our after show portrait. No, you would never guess that I'm the one that likes taking my shirt off. No,
that's right. The drawing is going to be of me holding my shirt on. No. Do they know the joke of you with your shirt off thing?
Actually, no, because none of them have seen. Well, I share some of the stickball videos, and so if they watched it, then
they would know.
Yeah, they would know. I take my shirt off. Even like the photos too. I share them whenever Eli shares about the practice.
Yeah. So yeah, Lafayama is known for taking his shirt off when we're at stickball practice.
It's slime time. So. It's because I sweat a lot. It's defense mechanism. I don't want to get my shirt sweaty and wet. So I'd rather get everybody else sweaty and wet.
I was at work the other day, and so by the time I get through on certain days, I've walked about 6 miles.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I told you when I came out to practice the other day, I was like, man, my legs are tired already. And but I was walking with a guy that's kind of training me,
mm-hmm.
and I'm back there with my little paper towel and like doing this on my head because it's cold. It's cold for the day. And he was like, man, you always sweaty? And I was like, yeah. And it's like, it's an embarrassing question kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Like, yes. And I said, but it wouldn't matter if I was overweight or not. Like, I sweat. And there's a story of me whenever I was a kid. We were in sixth grade. I
Yeah.
was at home for the summer and we heard a knock at the door. Answered the door, and there's this piece of paper on our mailbox, tri-folded paper with the old, for some of you that may be too young to know what the wooden clothesline pin is. And it's pinned to the mailbox. I open it up, and it's this pixelated picture of a smiley face. And it has a arrow pointing at the face, and I don't realize it. And I told my mom, I was like, hey, look, it says sweetie. And she said, no, baby, that says sweaty. And so, because as a kid, you go to gym class and they'll say you're playing dodgeball. Most of the girls kind of sit to the side and barely participate. And the boys are all, trying to kill each other. And so
Yeah.
you'd come back to class and just be just drenched. You've taken recess and gym class to the extreme.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I've always been a person that once you get start participating in activity, I get pretty sweaty. So
Now, how, because you started stickball before me, right?
no, because
Oh, did I start it before you?
yeah, because you hit me in the face on the first day, and I went home and told Jill. This guy out there pissed me off. Dude, like blindsided, I like turned, and you were right there, and my glasses went flying off.
That's right. And you just stood there too. I was like, dang, that guy did not move one bit.
I told her, I was like, man, my face hurt. So I picked my glasses up and like smiled, like, hey, like everything's okay. But inside, I was like, oh man, that sucks.
See, I thought that you had played it before I had actually come along, like maybe like taking a break or something and came back. And so that's why I was like, man, uh, I was like, whenever I hit you, I was like, man, I was like hitting a brick wall or something like that.
So,
And then you've ran me over a couple times too.
but yeah, that one hurt pretty bad that day. It like got my nose, it like pushed it sideways. So yeah, that hurt.
My bad on that
Yeah.
one.
And that's what like it's
part of the game.
Yeah. And but it's just one of those things of like, yeah, man, it hurt. And just act like you don't want to lay out there and be like, oh, you hurt me, and then be
I got you. Yeah, it's like whenever on Sundays, me and my sister, because my sister likes to come out and watch it as well and support, and so we started making a habit of going to Seven Brew beforehand and then heading out there, and so they'll ask you, what is your plans today? I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go play some Kabuki-Toholi, some Choctaw stickball. They're like, what is that? And I just give them the answer that Eli gives,
Yeah.
It's like lacrosse, but for men.
And then also on the first time I went, I came back home and told Jill, man, I was mad about the hit. Not mad that you hit me. It's just it was just blind. I just wasn't expecting it or anything.
Yeah.
And I have, you don't play sports in a really long time. Hadn't really been hit like that since high school, kind of thing, which was a long time ago at this point.
Yeah.
And but I told her the other one, I was like, I don't know his name. I said, man, he pisses me off. And now I talk to him all the time, which is Haas. And I said, he has this move, and I've discussed it with Eli and even with Haas, of he doesn't run up and hit you and knock you over in a sense of like you came at me and ran,
Yeah,
hit me head on kind of thing. Haas does the thing of he runs behind you, and when you lean over to grab the toe or the ball, he hits you from behind, and you just go cartwheeling across the dirt. And it's so embarrassing, like it hurts your ego so bad, your pride. And I came back from that one as well, and like, man, this guy pisses me off. She's like, what? And I was like, he did me twice out there. He did me wrong. So the next time I came out, like, I'm gonna do his move to him, and he's very aware of his surroundings, and he's not as slow picking up the ball like I am.
fast.
And yeah, me out there like, new to the thing, and he just runs by and it's up. And
even with single stick, it's,
yeah,
it takes
and
off.
so I couldn't do his move back to him.
Yeah, it's really hard to catch, and I've been working on it now. Looking back at it, how I hit before, that's actually my soft hits now. And so it's just I was really bad out of shape back then too, and so I didn't have control. So once I start moving forward, it's momentum going forward. Especially I was a lot bigger too. I wasn't like super solid on my feet or had a hold of my gravity, because you see some of the old videos of me just rolling over.
I tackled somebody a few weeks ago, and whenever I did, I threw my sticks down and didn't even realize I had thrown them down. And then whenever we all got up, I was like, oh, I don't have my sticks, and they were like 10 feet behind us. And Oh, it was Michael. And Michael's very skinny, guys. I make like 4 Michaels, and maybe 5. And he said, "Man, when you threw those sticks down," he was like, "It scared me so bad." He like was running, and he immediately, he's so fast and quick, he like cut over. But he's like, he threw those sticks down, and he was like, "Oh man, that scared me so bad." So it was like, I'm slow. I would, I can throw it down, and still not going to catch you anyway. So
I've been surprising myself, honestly. I've been getting a lot faster. So I'm trying to get used to my new speed because then I still have momentum going forward. And if I try to stop going at that speed, it doesn't quite work as well.
the knees don't want to participate.
Exactly. I go that way, and then I think one day I kind of hit a corner a little bit too fast and knocked myself over. I'm glad they didn't get that on video. So.
More like the train, if it gets going, and then it needs that while to stop. Why is he still running that way? His way is way over here. Right. He's trying to stop.
Anyways, but are you gonna participate? You're going to the powwow this Saturday, right?
I will be there. I will be late. I won't make it to the event till about 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And so I work till 6 to 2 that day.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I'll get there as soon as I can.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so I'll be at the KNON booth on that Saturday, and then at the what is it? The IICA?
The IAC.
IAC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that one I will be at all day Saturday.
Okay.
And they have actually asked us to do a Ndgns show at the location.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll sit up there and do a small little show, maybe field some questions from people that are there listening and watching. So
nice.
And probably a lot of the same conversation we're already having of just talking how the show got started, and
yeah,
any questions they have or things they would like us to. That's one thing we want is, and I guarantee he probably wants the same thing as feedback.
Exactly.
What am I talking too long on something? Am I boring on this sub?
Mm-hmm.
We want feedback. It doesn't have to be cruel feedback.
Yeah,
but some feedback.
How can I improve?
Yeah, what can I improve on, or would like to hear some of this. Like to, with you being in acting, like to hear maybe some background stories of what goes on behind the camera kind of thing.
Actually, and that's actually where I got involved in my first acting role. Was I was over there with Sundance, and we were putting those birdhouses together. And Audrika, the storyteller, she came down, and she was the one that was like, "Hey, they need more Indigenous actors for background." And initially, I turned it down, and it was actually Amy who wanted to do it. And so I was like, "Well, our friends will be there, the ones that we just met.
Right.
No, I want somebody that I know there. You know them, you know them now." And so I actually turned it down for a while, and then eventually I was like, "Okay, I'll go ahead and do it." And then I started, and it started off with a couple of days, and then a couple more days, and then a couple more days. And then next thing I know, like immediately after that, I got booked for another paid role, and then got booked again, and it just kind of took off that way. So my first year, I was in a bunch of projects, and second year it slowed down a bit, but I started getting more speaking roles, and then I figured out why I wasn't able to be brought onto TV series for multiple background roles.
Right.
I'm too recognizable. I mess up continuity apparently. So like, hey, wasn't that guy over here? So can't be too recognizable as background. So it kind of makes sense a little bit more that I tend to step into some more, I guess, primary roles, regular roles.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of cool. It's kind of fun.
So I have truly never seen myself trying to be an actor at all.
Mm-hmm.
Never. I love the movies. I even like the background stories of things.
Yeah.
But have never pictured myself trying to be that person of being in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I never did before either. Even in school, I was more of the AV Tech guy. And so we did a AV Tech club, and we did a small video called The Goatman Prophecies, which is on YouTube. And originally I was one of the cameramen, and I was one of the ones that was helping out with the camera and still shots and all this other stuff. And then our lead actor came in, he got cold feet, didn't want to do it. And so he didn't know that lead actor meant he had to be on camera. So we turned the cameraman into a character, and I took over lead role. And it was honestly a bit awkward. It was cheesy, but that was my first time on camera, and I did nothing for, I'll say, decade. And then after that, I started writing small skits for this. We were part of this ministry that don't want to get into it, but it was crazy time.
Right.
But anyway, so I wrote these little skits for that, and they kind of got pretty fun. You know, I would, in order to write these skits, I would stay up for days and go through what was called like dream juice is what I called it. And it's basically where you get high on not getting enough rest.
Right.
And then at that time, I wrote a lot of my best stuff. And then eventually, you know, I ended up stopped doing that, and then I did nothing for I want to say about a decade after that again. And then I got into the acting part, which I didn't really care to be into it. It just kind of fell into it, and then they just kept getting bigger and bigger roles, and I was like, hey, I'm just gonna keep going with it. They were paying me to stand and walk around and sit down. I was like, that's the easy payday.
And things for me, like when I was asking you about doing Leathers and Feathers film.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's often known as the westerns, Native American western kind of film.
I kind of guessed.
Yeah, the lady you were with, she was like, "What are leathers and feathers or whatever?" And yeah, you had it right. But yeah, it's doing.
Yeah, kind of like traditional, like
Yeah.
an older video, kind of like Dances with Wolves
Yes,
or further
those
back.
kind of
Yeah,
things. And I always felt like I don't fit the you know,
yeah.
you never see them out there with a beard, and you also don't see them bald. You know,
That's
I guess
true.
I could throw
They
on
got
wigs.
wigs.
They got a wig. But, you know, the like you said, the what did you say? I already messed up the word. Continuity or
Continuity.
continuity. See,
Yeah.
boy, be way off. Be like I didn't have a 5 o'clock shadow yesterday when we were out here filming. You know, so it's not even that it grows in. It takes like a month and a half for this to grow in, so it's very slow.
Which is kind of cool because I can't even grow that. You know, I get like there's a bald spot right here, bald spot right here. I show my Apache side.
So for those out there, I am not full blooded. I am Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Cherokee,
Mm.
and then also Irish and Scot mix,
Oh,
and maybe
nice.
in a couple of other little bits. But so the Irish Scot, I'm sure that's where the beard comes from, and because of the beard, whenever I do wear my Indian hat over here,
Mhm.
I kind of look like a tan version of what do you call the people? Not Mennonites, the
Oh, like the
not a Quaker.
Amish.
Yeah, the Amish.
Yeah.
I look like a native Amish guy with the beard on and the hat. So.
Hey, you should have wore the hat so they could
Yeah.
see. Get the full effect.
There you go. I'm gonna go raise a bar in here in a little bit, and so
It'll only take a couple hours.
yeah. So
That's pretty cool. Now, as far as going back to your show that on KNON, now how long do you see that going on for? I mean, I know that's kind of early on.
the radio or the talk show or both?
The talk show.
I don't know. I was telling Jill last night. Jill's my wife. I'll just keep saying you'll hear. I was telling Jill because that's my wife. That's it. That's my everyday
I
life.
understand.
I was telling her. I said if the show makes it a full year, I was going to get the Sasquatch with the Ndgns show tattooed. And I was like, but I don't want to do it until you know that it goes.
Mm-hmm.
The true answer to that is even if I had no listeners, as long as I'm making my pledge drive. So if I wanted to pay my own pledge drive, I could continue on with the show, I guess. So I'd be like, I'm my biggest fan. But I don't know. I would hope that it's, could reach some kind of longevity of not just being a, one day there used to be a talk show on the radio about Native American stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I would like it to carry on. And even if it's something that people get tired of me talking for being the host, that it could, like I said, there's a reason that Shy and Eli are both in there together, is in case something like that happens. And,
Yeah.
if something work related keeps me like I can't do the show anymore,
Mm-hmm.
then there's still other people, and there are plenty of friends and listeners, or friends that are listeners, that I think that could keep the show going, even regardless of who's sitting in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool. That's cool that you had come up with that. Now, I know that you talked about you said the brown beret, right?
Mhm.
Recently. What are some of the other guests? You don't got to
So
talk
other
about
guests.
other
So
guests.
well, let me go back to something real quick, and then we'll go to that because you're asking about the longevity.
Hmm.
Even the Beyond Bows and Arrows,
Hmm.
Albert is not the original host.
Okay.
So there were other people that started that show, and I'm horrible with dates. 83, 86, or 89. And if Jessica or Corey were listening to this, they'd be like, "It's this year, you moron! You always get this wrong," or whatever. So,
Tell us in the comments.
but but yeah, the show has been going on since the '80s, and so
Wow.
Albert is not the original host, and so yeah, there have been times where you know
Okay.
people have stepped into the driver's seat and you know taken control of the show. So that's what I would hope that this show could do is even if I reach a point where no one wants to hear from me, there's always somebody else that can step in and bring a new light to the show.
Yeah.
But whenever I first got the go ahead to go with the show, I wanted to originally bring in. I want Albert to come on the show and talk, but he lives in Oklahoma, so it's hard to get him here on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And but the first people that were to come on were all people that were going to be that are uh, organization leaders or whatever.
Yeah.
And so within the Native American community, Dallas community. And so that's why it was Jody Yellowfish, Eli, Christy,
Hmm.
just anybody that's kind of associated with any of the. You're also part of the group, right? Of I always get the initials messed up. Cheyenne's in it as well. What's the help me out here?
ICCT.
Yes, I'm drowning over here. You're just looking at me. Just keep on drowning.
No. So yeah, the international, it's the Intertribal Community Council
Yes.
Community.
And so I just wanted people that everybody in the Metroplex kind of knows
Mm-hmm.
to kind of help just build a
Yeah.
starting foundation for the show.
Okay.
And and
That's pretty awesome. Now, coming up, because I noticed that some of y'all's posters have changed, like, talking about indigenous lore and stuff like that. I know that one of them I saw was, oh, let me go ahead and put it up on the screen. It was this one right here, Lady of the Lake.
Lady of the Lake. That's this weekend's topic. This week's
Ah.
topic. So yeah, the trying to come up with an idea. I was trying to send you. I couldn't get it to download. That's what I was working on over here. My very first thing that I created was my son. My son is always my not puppet is wrong. Puppet is not what I mean, but he's like he's just always willing to participate in the
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it can be goofy, and it may be where I also have to tell him, all right, we'll go to Sonic, we'll go to do this. Just I need you to do this goofy little video for me,
Yeah.
and and then when we do it, a lot of times he laughs at it afterwards of realizing what it looks like, and um, it was him wearing my hat. And I don't know if you remember this video. If I say it, you'll probably remember it. And it's him getting out of my truck, and it's in slow motion, and it's him walking. And what I was trying to uh, mimic or copy
Mm-hmm.
was the movie Desperado with
Okay.
Sam
Antonio
Austin.
Banderas.
Yeah, Antonio Banderas, where somebody's walking in the shadows,
Yeah.
and it's playing that music, which is a Native American artist, Link Ray, with the song Rumble.
Yeah.
And so it's Victor walking, my son Victor walking very slowly across the parking lot, and there's a cone, and he walks by and he kicks the cone, and then when the cone falls over, he like points at it, like telling it to stay down, and then he walks out of screen. And
Nice.
he did not want to do it, and I'm out there laughing in the parking lot because people are driving by and just watching him continually kick this cone because we did it like 5 times.
Yeah.
Nothing ever works. Very rarely works the first time.
You got to
And
do multiple takes.
because like one was like he came out and walked really well, but then after he kicked the cone, he like looks at me and smiles, and I'm like, oh dude, you're supposed to be, you're stoic and all this stuff,
Yeah.
and so I always feel like I have decent ideas, but I'm not the person to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I can tell someone, so I guess I would be the director.
Yeah.
And so he did that, and that was the very first one. And I thought, man, I'm going to do stuff like this. I'm going to make goofy, kind of fun videos. It doesn't have to be goofy. And then Wes, he was on board. And then our very next one, because one of the other things I wanted to do was I say educate, but inform people
Mm-hmm.
about powwow stuff. I know
Yeah.
nothing of powwows. I just know that we go to a powwow. You're there watching people in your regalia. They're proud of what they're doing. It's
Mm-hmm.
fun for me to watch, but I don't know anything about the music. I don't know anything about the dances and other. I mean, the MC will tell you, but they don't give you a whole lot, or sometimes you can't fully hear what the MC is saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was talking to Wesley, Rhodey, and John, um, excuse me, I was like, I want to have dancers on that do particular dances and tell everyone what the dance represents and what it means. Not just what it means to them, but what it's actually representing.
Yeah.
And I said, because I can't be the only one that's at a powwow that doesn't know what's going on and you're too embarrassed to ask. Or if you do ask someone, they may not know either. So you still don't have an answer. And so I wanted people to come on. We still want dancers to come on.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
and so then that led to our second video, which was I tried to get Jomaine to do it for me, and he didn't understand what I was trying to do. He thought I was trying to do I think he thought I was trying to make a political video,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted him to go out there on that. It's a footbridge over Central Expressway,
I saw that. Yeah.
and I wanted him to do that and dance on the bridge. And I'm like, it will gain a lot of it. For one, you're going to distract the drivers, but if you do it in rush hour, they're already slow.
Yeah.
And I said it's going to look really cool. It's going to have all the cars passing by, and we will put music over it because it's going to be windy. And he told me no. And then whenever Wes got on board, Wes was like, I'll do it. And we went out there and we had him dancing. And the video, for me that doesn't know what they're really doing, yeah, I'm just out there with my phone, right? And videoing.
Yeah.
The video turned out really cool. And that got a little bit of praise on TikTok as well.
Nice.
And so we use that as like a advertisement for the Ndgns show.
Okay.
And so that's I'd love to do that again with I want us to all go to like American Airlines Center
Yeah.
where there's people just walking around. And I've even tried to tell Jomaine and Wesley that if we did it at the AAC, because Channel 8 News is right there. And
Mm-hmm.
if we had people that, and it's not a scheduled event, and Channel 8 News has that camera that shines down on that
Yeah.
little field area right there. Like I guarantee that you guys would probably make a little highlight clip on the news or something.
Mm-hmm.
And but we've yet to go out there for that one. I
Oh,
want to do that.
I actually wouldn't mind helping out. You know, I do have my own little camera setup I
Right.
use for auditions stuff like
And
that as well. So
that's one of the things we want to do. And I
Yeah.
figured we wouldn't have a hard time with getting people like you said, you'd come
Oh,
out and
yeah.
help out.
Yeah. And
And
actually, you know, one thing that I've kind of thought about doing on the show as well, because you know the name is Today's Entertainers with Little Dog, you know, and so in season one, I mostly did musicians and actors and producers and writers, stuff like that, people in the entertainment world. But for the most part, you know, even though you know, like with stickball and everything and radio, you know, we're all entertainers that are there to show people, you know, uh, even though it's about history and you know where things come from, it's still entertaining to watch.
right,
And so that's why I've kind of opened it up for season two to all entertainers. So like I have some on the spot interviews on my YouTube page from a couple of musicians that I've had on the show. I was thinking about actually doing that with some of the dancers and some of the powwows, doing some of the on the spot stuff. I had a video of Audrika on there. However, I want to redo it because my editing skills and my
right.
color grading skills was horrible back then.
Mhm.
And so I looked at it now and I'm like,
It's where it looks
wow.
really good to you then, and now you go back and look at it like,
I'm like,
what was I doing?
wow, because she even messaged me and she goes, well, I look forward to your progress. And I'm like, you're so nice. I would have told myself, wow, that looks terrible. Redo it. But she's so nice, and so I want to redo it again this year because she's a storyteller, and that I didn't have the stuff that I had now. Like I had the mics, but the mics with my phone wasn't working, but it works with my iPad really well. And my editing, like I said, you know how I can make the pictures pop now and make them look really good. It was too contrast. It was too vibrant. It just came out looking weird, and so I do want to do that. Now, this is actually my buddy right here from another podcast right here.
Thanks,
Coming soon
Ian.
podcast. His name is Spider. Thank you for chiming in, brother.
So,
And so, but I actually did a movie with him too, and we've actually known each other for over a decade. Never actually met until we were on set one day, and so that was actually kind of cool.
so I have a story of when I was in high school.
Hmm.
Higginbotham is not a name that you know hear very often, right?
Yeah,
Probably the only one maybe the only one you've ever heard, possibly, very possible.
it is actually.
And I had in my senior year, I was in class with a girl named Christy Higginbotham, and I knew she existed through freshman through senior year.
Yeah.
We never once spoke one word to one another. And you would think that even just having the last name Higginbotham be like, hey, do you have any family here? Blah, blah. No, we never. And I always just look back at that and laugh like, why did we never even, just have one conversation or whatever? It's just and also, and like, why does that still hold up space, like rent free in my head kind of thing of like, so.
Yeah. Well, did y'all ever happen to be related?
I don't know.
You
I
don't
never
know?
spoke with her.
That's great.
I guess you weren't listening in that previous 30 seconds.
I kind of did, but I was like, maybe later on or
No,
something
we
like
never
that.
did at all.
Oh, dang.
What?
So where does Higginbotham come from as a name?
It's an Irish name.
So it is
So,
Irish?
we've done the thing where you do the research on your name and it gives you a little short story.
Mm-hmm.
It started out as like Higgins,
Okay.
things like that, and then branched out from there. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, like so like my other last name, which is so for those who don't know, I was adopted at 2, and so my dad is my dad. He adopted me, took care of me since I was 2, and so that's where my last name comes from. Was he adopted me, which is Murillo, and so I did some research on that. It means little wall, but it's also a Spaniard name, and I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. There was a whole background to that too, and I was just like, you know what, these name things kind of cool.
yeah.
The little dog actually comes from my mother's side, from the little dog family.
And so you've heard me tell this story, but I guess they haven't.
Mhm.
Of growing up, so I was named after my grandfather, and so I'm what he calls his namesake, and so I'm Cecil Browning Higginbotham II.
Nice.
You would not gather that, it's going to be some brown guy sitting across from you, right? And so my grandfather that's where the Irish and Scott and Cherokee come from.
Mm-hmm.
And we are finding out that I have relatives that have done their ancestries and everything, and DNA for indigenous DNA is not showing up for anyone, which leads into the story of so many people saying they're Cherokee and they're not.
Yeah.
And I say as my grandfather, when you see younger photos of him, I would think that I'm looking at a Native American guy. I mean, it just he had the stereotypical look.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, when I saw him, he looked like just a old gray-haired, gray-bearded white guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I see old pictures of him and see pictures of his family and like, it's just not showing up somewhere, I think. And but with that, I was always named after him, and I was very proud of it, still very proud of it.
Yeah.
But also as a kid, I've said this many times on the show, when you get in your social studies book in elementary school and suddenly Native Americans start popping up, everyone turns and looks at you that you're the well, you came from an area where there were no, you've been down in this area though.
Yeah, I did a lot of education here.
I was always the only Native kid in class. And so whenever Native American topics came up, you feel like all eyes turn upon you, like you're suddenly the expert on all Native American.
They thought I was Mexican.
And that's what I also get now as well. And but I'd always grow up with thinking like, man, Indians lived in teepees, and then you find out that the Chickasaw lived in almost kind of like log houses in a sense.
Yeah.
And as a kid, that was not as cool. Like, man, I wanted to be the kind of people that came from the teepees. But as you get older, you realize, man, living in that log house and not having to travel and be nomadic was probably a great thing to have.
Oh yeah.
And then you have the name Little Dog, my friend Albert Oak Crow. Everybody has all these cool names. And then it's like, what's your name? Higginbotham. Oh, okay. Like, why didn't I have that cool Indian name kind of thing? But
yeah,
just is what it is. And but
it just happens,
you'll get the other benefits of a lot of things. So
oh yeah, your comment kind of reminded me of like you watch Smoke Signals?
Of course.
And he goes, well, you gotta look like you just caught a buffalo or killed a buffalo. He goes, but our people didn't do buffalo. We were fishermen. He goes, you want to see you want to look like you just came back from catching a fish?
From Dances with Salmon.
Yeah, it's like this isn't Dances with Salmon.
Yes.
Oh, that's what your comment reminded me of. But the Blackfeet, they've done a lot of stuff with DNA, which is pretty inaccurate. But they say that the Blackfeet were actually one of the first tribes to settle in North America. They have the oldest DNA tying to the land or whatever. But that's not the point. The point was like if we had not been nomadic, the territory actually spread long enough that they said that if we had had a steady water system and transit system, that we would have actually been a bigger empire than the Aztecs or the Incas.
Oh.
And so I was like, hey, that's kind of cool, but we were nomadic.
Right. And so I've never visited any of the sites of where the Chickasaw, Choctaw are from. I've never been there, other than Oklahoma, but that's not their original. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
And but places that I've gone to, I really enjoy seeing. Went to South Dakota.
Nice.
And while you're up there in the Black Hills walking around, you've already heard all these stories from me, but you can picture wind in his hair up on that bluff, and yelling down at Kevin Costner, and just looking and like getting lost in the moment, and just realizing that even though you're on like a little visitor's guide trail or road, that man, long ago there were people nomadic through here, and hiding in the trees and watching. If you were a stranger to the area, they were hiding and watching you and studying you. And then going out toward I love going through New Mexico and Arizona, the desert area, Utah, and just picturing how beautiful it is, but how much of a struggle it probably was to live in those areas whenever when it's the summertime and it's hot.
Yeah.
Lack of water in the areas, kind of thing, and getting to see the village in the cave, or not the cave, but the dwellings under the cliffs.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Oh man, that is amazing. And learning that other areas of the world, when you have forest fires, it's a disaster waiting. It's disastrous.
Yeah.
But in those areas, the people that study archaeology, whatever,
archaeology,
they love when fires happen, because when the trees burn down and things, it lets them find villages where people separated from the tribes and maybe went out on their own. And it kind of lets them find these out. I don't want to say discover, but lets them see that something was there. And so at one of their dwellings, they found
refined.
One of their dwellings, they found a jar full of corn.
Oh.
And so they surrendered the findings, or most of the findings, to the place in the mountains where they store all the seeds in case the world goes to.
Yeah, I've heard about that too. It's called the Ark or something like that.
Yeah. And so they sent some of the corn there, so that it's the oldest known.
It's the real corn.
Real corn. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so I thought that was pretty cool, and they still have some of the corn there in the museum as well. I love seeing that.
For those who don't know, because a lot of them don't know you. Now, you used to ride, right? Is that what you're talking about? Like whenever you used to ride, or whenever you just travel there with your family?
I was just traveling there.
Okay.
You're talking about motorcycles?
Yes.
Yes. I used to ride. Well, when you said ride, I'm like, which one?
Well,
a bicycle and a motorcycle at the same time. Not at the same time. Like I'm on two different. But I used to terrorize the Dallas Metroplex with my friends on our motorcycles, and that was a lot of fun. And so when you're out there on the highway and you can hear them coming down the road, and they'll buzz your car as they're like cutting between or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Jill, my son Joe, are kind of like, oh, and when I see them go through, I'm like, oh, the memories, it was so fun. And
used to lane split.
And then also because I eventually traded my street bike in when I met Jill. I didn't want to do the street bike anymore, so I went to the Harley. And then I would ride the Harley, and she'd be like, "You don't ride like those guys, do you?" And like, Not anymore, because Harley doesn't do the same thing.
Harley
We
can't
still
quite
we still go kind of
fit.
fast.
Yeah.
I remember, and when we talk about motorcycles, I always tell the same story. It's on the street bike, you can be beside someone and you can be doing 70 miles per hour,
Mm.
keeping up with traffic, 70 to 80. And if you felt like you were in danger, you could downshift, hit the throttle, and the bike would just take off. It was a bullet.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember being out on my Harley, and like the first or second week I had it in a car, like it just kept sitting beside me, and I was in this blind spot, and I thought, man, I'm gonna get away from this guy. And I dropped the gear and gave it throttle, and like, and just like pulled away, but nothing like the street bike. You know, I went from like 70 to almost 80 as I was leaving. And a street bike, you would go from like 70 to like 95, and like,
Yeah.
you'd just be gone. And so I do miss that. That was a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool. Now, actually, I kind of wanted to go bring it back to your show again. Now, I did notice that you actually started doing, whenever you do your ads, you do this art, right?
Correct.
And so, how did that start? Like with like this one right here.
That so that is AI. I will tell you all right now that yes, it is AI. I am not that talented. If I'm going to draw that, that's going to take me weeks to. And so I needed something to, because it is a touchy subject with. It's a touchy subject with a lot of people, but it's a touchy subject with Native American culture. Water being important.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have a couple of people talk about, hey, are those AI photos that you're using? I said yes. But went online and started doing research on like, okay, yes, because they'll say like, oh, if you make a picture, it takes 6 gallons of water to. And so I would look at it like, those machines are already hot as it is. The machine doesn't get more hot with that one picture that I created. So there's not this magic.
Yeah.
Somebody dumped that 6 gallons, and I don't mean it. I'm saying it like this because it just makes it more visual.
Yeah.
But everyone that is complaining about you're using AI to generate those photos, the social network that you're using to complain to me is almost 100% driven by AI.
Yep.
And so you're using AI to complain that I'm using AI. Now, am I happy with the way they are using the data centers and everything? No. Is there a better way? Like, I mean, we use all kinds of coolants in our cars to keep things. So
yeah.
Do they need to improve the situations? Yes, they do. Do they need to use our water as resources? No. But even just logging in on Facebook or TikTok, you're already generating AI work. And so there's no escaping it at this point. Even people's jobs are fully, in fact, I have a friend that just sent me a message today that Oracle, which is a very big computer data, system used in all around the world, is laying off 10,000 people in America. This was just reported today. So,
oh wow! So
if I got the numbers wrong, I'm not trying to make something up. This is because he works for Oracle.
Yeah,
and he's worried. He's already had friends that didn't make the cut. And the reason that Oracle is making so many cuts is that they are going to an AI database. So they're using AI to replace everybody. So it's something that we aren't escaping at this point.
Oh, for sure. Even recently, there was a SAG strike last year, and that was them over utilizing AI and using AI to reuse actors' images because they were trying to get them to sign to where they can reuse their image, or they would sign away basically their image, so that way companies, bigger corporations and big studios could reuse them in other films in different areas without having to actually pay them.
Yep.
And so that's actually what that SAG strike was about last year.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that was AI has come a long way, and it seems to be continually growing. There's one thing that I say, and it sucks, but it's like the world is moving in a certain direction, and eventually everybody falls in or you fall off, and that's where like, for instance, back whenever I used to do things with Sunrun, right, which was a solar company who sell to homeowners and all that. But what people didn't realize is that there's major data centers coming to Texas alone, and honestly there's not really anybody out there protesting those. They're still getting built.
Right.
But there's a massive one in Abilene that's the size of Abilene, and it's going to use like was it gigawatts of power, like 1 gigawatt, which our entire grid makes a gigawatt. And so that's why there's such a big push for people to do solar, is because one, you're going to need to help out the grid. Our grid is closed,
Right.
we're not connected to a national grid. So if they're using all our power, and these data centers have admitted that, hey, we're willing to pay $2 a kilowatt. You know how much they pay per kilowatt right now? 4 cents. They pay 4 cents a kilowatt because they use so much. That's what commercial is, 2 to 4 cents. But they're willing to pay $2 a kilowatt. And so whenever that happens, what's that going to do to our prices? Because we're at 19 cents a kilowatt to 21, right? What is that going to jump ours to? Who's going to, where's all the energy is going to follow the money.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's going to raise our electric bills. That's going to cause, a whole bunch of chaos to where people can't afford it. And so that's why, companies like Sunrun Mine, we offer the solar. We see the different news on the way that it's going. And that's just one mega data center. There's 3 of them planned for Texas, meaning 3 gigawatts of power, which is way more than what we could do. Whereas, solar companies, major solar companies that do these PPAs and loans, they do help out to where I think Sunrun generates like two gigawatts of power a year. And so we're actually generating that. And not only that, the fields that, that Tesla has out there, those are generating a lot of power. However, it's still not enough for what they have planned for Texas.
And then, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
I talked to it like it had personality.
I know you told that. Sorry.
But you showing the picture, starting back to the video.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
We kind of went on.
Going back to the videos of the slow motion under the song Rumble,
Yeah.
Wesley dancing out there on the highway. If I had the creative mind to always do that, I would love to do, because that to me is fun to go out there and do those little things. But having the creative mind to do it and having people accessible,
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Lafayama and I live anywhere from depending what time of day it is that you're driving through the Metroplex. It's 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. Today it was an hour and 15 minutes for me to get here because I left at high peak travel time.
Oh yeah.
You need to make your show at 8:00 p.m. like mine, to where traffic is dead or less.
What I'm ready to
Still
do.
not dead, but so yeah. So having friends, and then everyone has schedules. They have responsibilities, but I went with. I wanted to create. So when we first started the show, Wesley and I, we had this conversation of not having a Indian name. Higginbotham and Rhodey, Wesley Rhodey, Cecil Higginbotham.
Yeah.
And so I was talking, and he was talking about he was in boot camp, and they found out that he was indigenous, and they wanted to know if he had a indigenous name, and he said no. And they asked him again, "Do you have one?" And he said no, but he said he thought about saying, and just kind of being goofy and saying, "My name is Indigenous Man." And I said, man, I was like, I'm glad for you that you didn't, because that would never die. That goofy comment would torture you for the rest of your military career. And so when he said that, I went home and was like, we need you need like a, not I guess a logo,
Kind of like a representation.
of what the show is. So I went home, and on my phone, I had this little app of AI that comes with your phone. Mine is Samsung. I don't know what Apple uses, but I put in there, create a caricature or a silhouette of a Native American in the KNON studio. And so I created this guy, and that's where you see the first ones. They were in color, and it's with Jody Yellowfish. But I didn't make it to match Jody. I just said, it's with a female. So I created this female. And it made me laugh because Jody made a post on Facebook, and she was like, "Does this look like me, everybody?" And then I was like, "Oh, I didn't even think of that, of creating it to look like our guest." And so, but for the first couple of weeks, I used this. It was called Indigenous Man. Do you have a picture of him?
I don't have a picture of that.
If you go to like some of the first posts of the show, it's black and white silhouette, and it's a Native American guy. He has like twin, the ponytails, braided ponytails, and he's wearing a cape, and he's basically just like Superman, but he's indigenous.
Yeah.
And so he was Indigenous Man, and that's what it says on his chest, is Indigenous Man.
Nice.
And so I went with that for a few shows, And then you were the first one that when you came on, I decided I'm going to make a character of the guest as they come in. And yours was the coolest one right from the beginning of we're fighting a gargoyle.
Yeah, we're fighting a gargoyle.
And so I love the pictures. That one actually got a lot of great
response.
response.
Feedback. Yeah.
And then Cheyenne was the next one. And then that's when now I'm making it of each guest.
Mm-hmm.
And then Christy came on, and they were funny because it was depending if I know something about you, and that's why we were doing gargoyles like it was movie sets.
Yeah.
And then it knows your history of what you created.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Cheyenne, it created some that were funny because it put us on like a Lord of the Rings set.
Yeah.
So we all have like pointed ears and we're like elfish people or whatever. And like, no, it made me laugh, but it didn't fit the format.
Yeah.
And then I introduced Sasquatch, and that one I liked. And so I was like, man, I need to create a whole series of just Sasquatch stuff. And then, of course, the more you're using it,
Mm-hmm.
the more you realize what you can tell it that you want it to do. And as you see it now, the one with if you show the one of the graffiti work in the alley.
Let me see. Let me see which one. Let me go through it. That one?
Yes. There's one where he's doing the graffiti work, and it looked really cool.
I have that one on. No, I didn't put that one on here. My bad.
It's different graffiti work. You posted it on the thing because it's like orange.
It's on your ad, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, man, that one looks cool. And so then I wanted to present a T-shirt to the radio station. So those of you that don't know, our radio show is not a normal show. It's community radio. So we have to do what's called a pledge drive once a quarter of the year. And you have to raise so much money to to keep your show alive.
Is that what the QR code is for?
The
QR code
QR code is it just takes you to our show, or even on the app.
Okay.
On the app, there's a little tab that says pledge now. And so
that way they can follow it.
Yeah. So the Facebook one, of course, takes us to our show fun page, and then the station is the other. And but we're going to generate T-shirts soon, and it's going to be the Sasquatch that says the Ndgns show with KNON Now below it, and for a $50 pledge.
I thought that's what you were bringing in.
I thought I was bringing it in too. I was all happy. It's going to be hanging up in the background. People are going to get to see it for the first time. And then I got out of my truck, and the sad realization that it's still folded up in the kitchen. And but we do pledge drives, and one of the pledge drives that we have or available is like a T-shirt for $50. You're not buying the T-shirt; you're pledging $50 toward the show, and the station sends you a T-shirt and your appreciation.
Nice.
And so that's what we're in the process of. I got it approved Monday. I kept trying to email one of our managers, and he wasn't replying. He said he was feeling sick. And so I was like, I'm going to do it the way of just taking a T-shirt to the station, and I'm going to stand there at your door and hold you kind of captive until you discuss the shirt with me kind of thing. And I opened it up, and he was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, hey, I want to get a shirt approved. And he was like, oh, yeah, the shirt's good. Like, dude, you could have told me that. Like, you could have just hit yes or no. And
it could have been an email.
Yeah, could have done this. Yeah, those everybody has socks. This could have been an email. And he was like, "Yeah, good to go." And I was kind of like, it wasn't even confrontational at all. Like, okay, thanks. But now I've got to start working on getting them made. And so I like the T-shirt. Eli wishes they were in blue instead of white. I wanted white, and then when I was asking them, I don't want it to be, even though I'm the host and with the station, it's my show. I don't want it to be everything's my say so. So I try to.
It's like a democracy.
Yeah, it's a democracy, and 80-20. Yeah, I try to make it as much 33s all the way around. But at some point, I still have to come up with topics. But I tell them also, hey, make your own notes. And, the day of the show, I'll forward out my talking notes, and if they want to share theirs, or if it's all kind of the same common stuff.
Nice.
And, but on the shirt, like, I like the design, but what do you guys think?
Yeah.
And the very first one, you have the one where it shows him with the stickball sticks.
Yes, I do, actually.
So The original plan was supposed to be that.
This one or a different
Yep,
one?
that one there. The original plan was Sasquatch was going to be a silhouette, and
Okay.
it gave me a detailed photo.
Yeah.
And Eli was like, "Man, my only request is that Sasquatch have a red bandana on." And I was like, "I like that because when I
Yeah.
grew up, Indians wore red bandanas all the time."
Yeah.
And so I like that. And then he was like, "And if you can give him stickball sticks." I didn't like how big the cups are. I'm sorry, I'm pointing at y'all at the screen, but I didn't like how big they were. 'Cause I was trying to make it
Yeah.
more like he would still be playing with us, so the ball is going to be, because we can't go out there and throw a big old one, and
Yeah.
and it just kept messing up, and so I told them, all right, we're going to go back to the silhouette, and I changed up the design,
Mm,
and
That's
then
that's pretty
I
cool.
was going to get it made, and the company was like, "Oh, your picture is too low res. You need to get it high res," and when I said, convert it to high res, they gave the very detailed picture and went, "Oh man, that looks awesome." And so
Nice.
that's how we came across that picture. So,
Man, that's pretty
and
cool. Yeah.
and as you were saying, using AI versus part of the decision as well is not trying to piss off people that we know in the community that that dislike AI.
Mm-hmm.
They make posts about it all the time. I see their posts of we see friends using AI generated things. I'm in that
Yeah.
group, but I know it's not just me. There are tons of people using it
Mm-hmm.
that they're also talking about. And but again, we are a community radio station
Mm-hmm.
where I live off of pledges. And if any of you were to pledge, I don't get the money. The money goes to the station.
Yeah.
Everything from me is we're a 501c3 corporate or company, and so everything is anything that I bring to the show is something that I spent my own money on. I don't get anything in return,
Yeah.
and
I think that was a response to the answer right there. Cool.
and uh, but on the Beyond Bows and Arrows, like
Mhm.
this design has been used, and I'll go into more about this shirt in a minute.
Yeah.
But this was hand drawn by someone, and we've been using it for a couple of
They
years.
probably heard your message from
Oh,
Mike a little bit.
sorry,
Before we
guys.
go on, we do have a couple comments. Robert Rios is watching us as well. He's watching from San Antonio, actually.
I love
And
San
then
Antonio.
and then Ramona said, "Yo, what's up, buddy?"
um,
Sorry, I just didn't want to get too
with
far away.
with the Beyond Bows and Arrows, I was like, man, we should change up the shirt because they've been using the same picture for a few years now,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone on the crew was up for let's change it. And so we started every week. We would say, hey, if anyone has a design they would like to submit, so we can change up the T-shirt because, like I said, we make money for the radio station to keep us alive, to keep
Yeah.
keep the show alive. But if everybody already has the shirt, no one's pledging $50 to get a shirt. We'll have
Yeah.
people that do pledge and be like, oh, I've already got that shirt. I don't want another. And so I was like, we should change the design and regenerate people pledging.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would ask people to submit something for us because we're community radio. We don't have the budget. So can you help? Maybe you couldn't pledge money, but you could pledge a drawing for us to use.
Mm-hmm.
0%.
It's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, 0%. I mean, we never heard anyone. And I reached out to a couple of friends that were artists and everything, and then we talked about it, but then nothing ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it came time, when I have the Ndgns show over here, it's my show. It's like I want a T-shirt to represent us. That like also because you get something out there, other people see it, and they may like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like was going to use AI. And then when I went to the T-shirt shop and was talking to the guy, he said, if you can't find what you're looking for, you can pay a graphic designer.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can pay them, and then all they're going to do is listen to what you want. And then most of them are going to use AI to generate what you're looking for. And I was like, well, I can save my money and do it by
Doing it yourself.
doing it myself.
So we actually have a very special comment. Okay.
Oh, very what?
Special comment.
Gotcha.
All right. It says, I like the show. Still waiting for the friend poses on the chair. That's going to be for the Patreon.
I can see the face on that person talking. Hey, baby. So that's Jill.
That's Jill. That's your wife. That's who it keeps referring to. That was great, actually.
But yeah, because that was the first thing I came around the corner and saw that chair, and I was like, took a picture and sent it to her. I think he wants to draw me like the French girls.
Oh, look. AJ said that Jermaine Perry draws art.
Yep, he does.
Yeah,
And we've
but
had discussions, and he
no,
was one of the ones. And it, you know, and he would. You have ideas, trying to translate, communicate the ideas, and having
mhm.
time. And so once the show started, I was over there using the thing and
Yeah.
everything. Then I just kind of I have it right here, and
I think even on my logo too, I generated. Well, I didn't ask AI to make it. I used it using Canva, but Canva is basically AI almost.
yeah,
Even though I'm putting the designs on there, it's
it still kind
still
of works with
AI.
it. Yeah,
And so,
and yeah, who was that? AJ that said that?
yeah, that was AJ.
Yeah, AJ.
Here we go.
I'm always in community,
There we
so
go.
I'm like,
That right there.
gotcha.
And actually, I'm thinking about making that into like a bumper
So
sticker.
always in communication with Jermaine. He and I chat just about every day. And
Yeah.
in fact, if you see my social media, we were hanging out today. He and John Rhodey were singing. They're working on a project for me.
Yeah.
So they were singing the AIM song and drumming as what to originally help John make a drum,
Yeah.
a powwow drum, and then it turned into a drumming and singing thing as well. They're both helping me out on a project for the show. But yeah, Jermaine does artwork, and he's always communicating with me, sharing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he even two of the projects that he finished, he actually made me prints and framed it.
Oh, nice.
And so I've got that to hang up. I've got to find how I want to put it up in my spot.
It is difficult to generate support from the community itself, even within acting and other ones as well. Because
It's
here's
not
the
that
thing:
they don't want to. It's just
yeah, it's difficult because the thing is, like, even with mine, originally my show was to have indigenous actors and
right.
artists and all that on the show. However, the guys at the beginning of from the first episodes were the only ones willing to come on my show.
Yeah.
Everybody else was, what can you offer me?
Yeah.
What can you give me? I'm like, I'm a brand new show. They were like, what are your analytics? Beats me. I'm brand new. This is like episode 1 we're talking about, And like Superman, I've been a supporter of him since he was part of Resurrection, which most people don't know. He was part of a Christian rap group in the beginning, indigenous one, and before he went solo. And so I was actually a supporter of their music way back then. And that was back when I was in high school. I was, early 2000s. And whenever I mentioned to him, I was like, hey, I'd love to have you come on the show as a remote guest. Uh, he came back with, what's your analytics? Well, I don't think I want to do that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, not a problem.
Right.
And so then I approached a couple of other ones as well. Even I met JP1 on the set of 1923. I approached him as a guest for one time, and he asked me the same thing. What are your analytics? And I'm like, it's brand new, man. I'm like episode 5 in, but I enjoy the support that I do have. Like Adam Warrior, his actually part of the intro where you heard where it says this show's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. That was an outtake from his episode on here. And I've had Chase Parker, a bunch of upcoming indigenous actors. And so, but and so that's why I opened it up to everybody else, because that's how I was able to find all my guests. Was most of my support comes from out of the community.
Well, you just got to also find things that Native people still find entertaining. And so if it's certain actors, because I told you before, there's an actor that I want to have on the show that is not Native, but it's what he's participated in.
Yeah.
And that I think natives would like to hear. And I'm horrible with names. Jill's probably going, he's already talking about this guy. She knows who it is. But if any of you watch Reservation Dogs, he is the white wizard, or the bar lounge guy that he does the bad medicine for what's her something Jack, not Willie Jack. He does bad medicine for Willie Jack. He takes hair, and then they're everything turns to crap for them. I want to say other words, but his wife was the librarian at the elementary school my kids went to, and so my son would come home one day and he was like, oh, we got to meet this actor. He came to school and talked to us about being in film.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, who is it? And he says a name, and it's a person that nobody really knows. He's a supporting actor kind of thing, and
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, you know, that's cool that someone came to your school. And then one day I'm watching Reservation Dogs, and that's when she's giving him the hair, and he was like, "That's the guy that was at our school." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "That's him." And he was telling us that he was in the, you know, like some show about Native Americans or whatever.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And so I've contacted him at this moment. He says he's busy. He's doing a lot of things, and but he says,
Yeah.
you know, he'd like to come on and, you know, promote
Yeah.
himself, of course. But you know, I'm also going to let him promote himself, but of course, be like, hey, what was it like to be on set with? I want to hear what it was like to be around Willie Jack and Bear and all of them, and West Duty and
Yeah.
you know, Uncle Brownie, you know, all the stuff that you get to see,
Oh yeah.
or all the stuff that he got to see, and
Hmm.
so I want to hear those kind of stories,
Nice. That's
and
pretty cool.
so
And, which I am glad that it did work out the way that it did, because my reach wouldn't have reached other
yeah.
continents, I believe,
Well,
And
what I was going to
so,
say is it's the way you have to not take it personal.
yeah.
If they did, you know, even if you're supporting them, they don't, because they are,
Yeah. You
even
never
though
know how things are
they're
going to
not
turn
the
around
mass
later.
entertainer like a lot of people are, they are still big entertainers for
Yeah.
a very, you know,
Oh,
select
for
group.
sure.
And so they get hit up all the time, I'm sure, of you know, can I have a CD? Can I have the can I have, you know, and
Yeah.
if you keep giving everything out for free, you're not gonna, you know,
Hmm.
they're doing it to make a living, you know.
Yeah.
And so if he uses his creative time to come on every podcast that someone is, or radio show,
Yeah.
that, you know,
And that's what I
he's
said. Later on, they may change their
right.
mind, So I don't take it personally. All I did was just expand my world.
So in a smaller realm, like I said, I don't know how many people listen to my show, but me asking on Beyond Bows and Arrows of, hey, can someone help us out? And we're not getting that feedback. We're not getting that. We're still getting support from those people, just not in a
Hmm.
way that we're asking at that very moment. Because
Yeah.
that very person that may be the artist is probably also giving a cash pledge to keep
Hmm.
us on the air, but doesn't want to take that time to, or maybe can't, or just doesn't have the, you know, just may not have the interest.
Oh
And
yeah.
so it's like, don't take it personal. You got to move on and find something else. And so,
Oh, for sure. And that's what I did with the show. That's why I've expanded to what I have. And honestly, it's turned into something that I never expected it to turn into. I had originally wrote my outro song as well using GarageBand, just like I did with the intro song. And then next thing I know, DJ Kane's doing a clean version of Mala on my show. And I'm like, ooh, that's my new in credit. It's so, like I said, it's gone beyond what I expected it to go. At first I never saw myself doing a podcast in the first place.
right.
It was presented to me and I was like, I guess so. And came about. Then I finished season one, and then I never really expected to come back for season two. And I was like, you know what? I miss doing that. I can focus on it a bit more. And so I decided to turn it a bit more business wise. Versus, like I said, season one, I was sitting in front of the laptop in front of an iPhone, and it showed, the front room behind me.
Right.
It was nothing like it is right now, where now I have all of this right here, which is set up and places for people to sit down. I was putting people over here in the kitchen by the kitchen table or against this wall right here, and I was just trying to figure it all out. But it's turned a corner right now, and I'm really happy with the direction that it's going. And so if I had, let that bother me or anything like that, I definitely would not have, expanded it the way that I
Right.
have. So I'm not upset, because I do think that one day, they may come around and be like, hey, your show is big enough. We'll go ahead and,
Right.
sit down and do something, which is tells me, hey, I'm making progress on the show. Because I have been getting a couple of bigger offers from a couple of directors that are pretty well known. And so I'm contemplating it. But I like to focus on Texas talent a lot.
Yeah. And, you know, me, where I posted today, there's a reason I have the face for radio kind of thing. I have a very big fear of speaking, public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And so talking on the radio is different because we're having conversation. Like even right now, I'm not seeing the camera right here. I mean, I know I do look at it every once in a while,
Yeah.
but I'm really not focusing in on it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
engaged in conversation with you. And the radio show is the same way. When we're talking, we're looking at one another, even though we have a
Mm-hmm.
mic in front of our face. But I also do storytelling,
Yeah.
Chickasaw storytelling. And it's certain stories that you're supposed to tell a bit of a certain way. You can add a little bit to it here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk to myself and tell myself the stories with no problem. But standing up in front of a group of 10 people to 30 people, man, the sweat just starts coming down. And so that's the same thing of like, I can't imagine myself being in front of a camera trying to perform and do in front of, for certain thing, you're trying to.
Well, I have an idea that might, which I want to talk to you a little bit after show about.
I'm not
Where,
standing up naked in here with you and we do public speaking.
anyways, no, no, that's not what I was gonna ask you. What I kind of want to bring up is because I do want to help out with content as well too, and I have an idea that might help out with doing the storytelling, but you don't have to be on the camera, but you
Gotcha.
still hear your voice and you can still see like a visual representation of your stories that you're telling. And so not only that too, there's so I everybody knows I've been writing a skit comedy, and that one's called War Dog because my other co-host is gonna be Daniel Warrior, really good friend of mine, really tall guy, makes me look tiny. But anyways, so I have a comedy skit show and he's gonna be my host. But what nobody really knows is I'm also writing another show too, and it has to do with indigenous lore and mostly the horror stories, but it's going to be more of a series. And so I would like to get with you on some of those stories
Yeah.
as well to write some of the episodes that I'm coming up, because each one of them is going to be basically uh that it's all within the same universe. I know that all the different
Oh yeah,
tribes have different ones. Yeah.
you've told me about this a little bit.
And so I started kind of writing it a little bit, but I want more to get more into it,
Yeah.
basically, to make it a little bit more to where it's a little bit more, I guess, cinematic. And I want indigenous people to work on it, to work on the writing,
Right.
so that way it kind of stays pretty true to the legend, but more modern day. So, and we actually had a question. It said, Lafayette Little Dog, do you have an acting project in the works? I know what's going on with your guests. Ask you questions.
So everything that I'm telling you tonight,
Yeah.
she's back there going, this story again. I've heard this one.
Yeah, sure.
So
Well, actually, I do. I'm working on a show called well, they're still filming several ones. I think I got to go back for another scene. It's called Anderson County, and it's based on true events that happened down Anderson County, where in the 1950s a poacher killed a game warden, and so my character is actually a fictional character that's in it. So that's why I said it's based on a true story.
gotcha.
But there's my characters didn't really exist. They just wanted representation as well as to add it. So I actually have a really good role in it. I can't give away my role outside the NDA, but I have a really good role in it, and it's actually one of my first major roles.
So where's Anderson County at?
Uh, Down there by Palestine,
Okay.
Palestine, Texas, and that's where we've actually been doing a lot of our filming, is down in that area. And there's this gentleman. His name is Chris Siegler. I met him on the set of Landman, and so this is why it's important to network. Whenever you do background stuff, don't ever think of it as, oh, I'm just wasting my time. Reality, what you're doing is you're actually networking with everybody that's around you, because
Right.
these other background actors, they're not just background actors. Some of them are writers, some of them are directors, some of them are saving up money for their own projects. Other ones are getting experience by seeing how do they operate the camera, where do they put these angles, what are some of the ideas, what are some of the lighting ideas. They're watching the directors, they're watching other people there as well as other actors, and seeing who's professional, who isn't professional, who would I like to be on set with, who am I going to get along with.
I have an event you might need to come along with me then.
Okay.
He's one of our future guests.
Mhm.
It's going to be a guy named Tommy Cummings.
Okay.
And Tommy Cummings is a former writer for Dallas Times Herald or Dallas Morning News.
Nice.
If you've never heard of Dallas Times Herald, it was just a competitor of Morning News whenever there were two papers.
Yeah.
And he's also formerly of Fort Worth Star Telegram and a San Francisco Journal. But he was one that, I was recommended to contact him to see if he'd like to be a guest. And Ernest recommended him.
Okay.
And
Ernest is a big supporter, actually.
yeah,
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's always checking in. He sends me things, and that was the thing, because I'd asked Ernest to be on the show.
Mhm.
He turned me down. Ernest, no, I'm kidding. Very understandable why he didn't want to come on.
Mhm.
But then he started contributing. Hey, I think this person you should do. You know, he
Yeah.
still he likes the show, and
Awesome.
so I appreciate it. I immediately began reaching out to Tommy Cummings like he recommended,
Mhm.
and before long, was trying to cook dinner, and he called, and so Jill had to cook dinner for me. And then he and I are discussing things, and um, the thing about the reason I'm saying that is networking.
Mhm.
He does things like roundtable talks with people that are writers and media and all types of media type things.
Okay.
And so he's like, I'd like you to come to one of the events. I was like, oh, I'd love to come and listen. And he said, no, I want you to come in and speak and tell what you do. And I'm like, man, I like little community radio guy, and he's talking about reporters and TV station people and things. I'm like, he's like, no, they'll want to hear your story. And one that he has coming up is, I'll forward you the information, but it's like a former actor or people that were in TV shows and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and that's what he's talking about is you need to get in here and just start networking, and you can
Mhm.
draw some things toward your show. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, as much as some of it, I would love to go and listen. I don't want to be the speaker, but it's the same thing, like you're saying,
Yeah.
networking and getting them, getting your name out there with things. And
Exactly.
so, and with us, me being in community radio, you got to do whatever you can, I guess, to try to branch
Yep.
out. And
It definitely helps out because that is a major thing, especially in the entertainment world, is networking. You know, I found out that one of my guests that was actually on my podcast, after doing my podcast, he was like, "Hey, after I did your podcast, my career just kind of took off because after doing my podcast, he got invited to a bigger podcast, and then from there, he just started drawing more attention. And there's a project that I'm actually going to be a part of as well too. They're just waiting on. It's actually a pretty big
that's
budget.
the one you were telling me about
Uh, uh,
Sunday.
this was called Stairway.
Oh, okay.
And my buddy Robbie Mitz, who was actually on a different episode as well, he's the writer of it and the creative mind, and actually is the lead in that one as well. It's about his I think his great grandfather, I believe it is. But anyways, so I'm gonna be in that film as well. But he told me that they were able to get more attention on that film project due to coming on here. And he goes, "Man, it just started off on your show." And I'm like, "Wow, I didn't think I was anything." And yet, apparently other podcasts and other podcasters are able to see it. And even with Chris Ziegler too, that one had probably the most support out of a lot of my shows. That one had well over, I think it was like over 5,000 views. And I was like, man, I need to get him back onto mine because that's whenever I had the previous producer. So he gets all the credit for all of that. I actually don't have my first episodes available on my show because it was, all on his stuff. And so now I'm trying to rebuild it and all the intro ones, even the indigenous actors that I've had on before,
Right.
trying to get them back in. So that way, either remote, because that's how they were done then, because most of them are in Oklahoma, or if I can get them in person, I would love for them to come in person again and do a show here, so that way I can have them mic'd up. And
Right.
because sometimes whenever you have people do remote, they don't have mics, the audio is really rough, and it's like, man, we had such a great conversation but the audio was horrible. you know and so that's why I created this set right here, is because I wanted it to be a little bit like a late night show without being super late,
Right.
because then you'd be competing with the late night shows. And then, as the intro kind of shows, my show used to be on Wednesday. Then I stopped competing with God. So.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me. Competing with God. Um, oh man, I got myself thrown off. Um, you go ahead.
But
This happens to me a lot. In fact, it
no,
happened to me last night. I've told Jill, like, I got something I was want to talk to you about, and I cannot remember. I walked around the house for like 30 minutes, just trying to rack my brain of what I wanted to talk about.
no, that happens to me quite often too. But yeah.
Oh,
Oh, good.
do you wear earrings or no?
Yeah, I do.
You do? Okay. I was looking because I was wondering, like, when you're on film set, do you have anything that you wear, or do you tend to do they want you to wear something or no?
Yeah, actually, sometimes they do. Like, so on Anderson County, the first one, I wore my turquoise earrings that I wear, the big stone. I've worn
Yeah,
those.
that's right.
And then later on, I have the other ones where I had like studs in because I didn't have them over there because I figure it's a different day. But apparently, they really liked them, so they wanted me to bring them, but it didn't. And I'm allergic to the nickel that's in the hooks. So what happens is this one tends to close up kind of fast.
So why don't you go to Gauges?
Not sure.
You should. But then here's the reason why. if you're playing like Native American native roles.
Hmm.
Um, the tunnels that I have,
Yeah.
I didn't do these for the longest time because I thought it's kind of cultural appropriation kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Thought every other group did it, not us. Just never saw it anywhere. And I
Mhm.
went to the Chickasaw Cultural Center in Sulphur, Oklahoma, and they have a bronze statue or a big statue.
Yeah.
And I walked by and looked at it, and he has like looks like a cone in his ears or whatever.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and went, oh, like we did it. And I mean, I came home from that trip because I was there by myself and told Jill, I want to get my ears gauged. I want to do my ears. You know, like I found proof that I wasn't out looking for it, but
Yeah.
then when I saw it, like I can do it. Now I can do it. And so I started doing mine. But yeah, I was thinking that'd be something like when you're on a set, you could actually take like a piece of animal bone. You can do something where it looks more
Yeah.
like what's on the statue, something that's a little more
Mhm.
actually representing,
And
appropriately representing.
and that is actually something that I thought about too, because I mean, I like the whole bone, and I was like, man, that'd be awesome.
Because I
But
guess,
I just never thought of actually kind of doing it, because a lot of times, especially since I still do a lot of background work, they don't want the background actor appearing more.
right. I was going to say with what you said earlier about
Yeah,
continuity or whatever,
continuity.
continuity. I can't get that word. I'll mess it up every
It's
time.
all right. And
But
so there's some scenes like I was in what was that one with Jared Padalecki? They remade Walker. I was in season 4 of it,
okay.
but it's one of the ones that you can't really see me in because they blurred me out in the background. So like I'm a blur in the background because I was too distracting from the actors.
Well, because I'm also thinking of like your headshots would look pretty cool if you have like something in
Yeah.
your ears kind of thing. Um, I have a friend that sent me a bunch of, like mine right now. I'm wearing American mink
Hmm.
jawbones, and I have some that are muskrat. I have some bigger ones that are beaver. I'm gonna make
Yeah.
some out of beaver, and that's what I was thinking of. Like you should have something like some kind of something for headshots and things,
Yeah.
something that makes you a little more intimidating looking.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I think that's pretty awesome. I've on my current headshots, I do have the turquoise
Yeah.
stones, but that's about it. I don't really have anything else. It's just like I said, the hooks themselves, they have nickel in them.
Well, saying these are stainless, so
Nice.
yeah, be something a little less irritating.
Yeah.
I need to do it. I got a stretch kit you can have. That it probably. I think the first one fits a basic ear hole thing.
All right.
So
That sounds pretty cool.
and it doesn't hurt too much.
And
So
if y'all think it would be cool, just let us know in the chat.
yeah, yeah. If you think it needs to go ahead and go with ear tunnels and gauges and things, whatever you want to call them. Because when I search for them, I call them gauges, but it always pops up tunnels. So
That's pretty cool. And actually, whenever I go roofing and everything, because we do, whenever we get the leads, we'll talk to the lead, and then if we see damage, we'll talk to the people around them. And so I have been known to actually wear my turquoise right here, and then even my badge has turquoise stains on it. And so I always get compliments on them. They're like, "Ooh, those are beautiful," and all this other stuff. And there was this one lady. She opened the door, and uh she was the unintentional racist. you know but she's like, I could tell from the beginning you were Indian. And then she told her gardener, she's like, look, he's a real Indian, and he was a Hispanic guy, so he speaks some English, not all. And he kind of looked at her, like stared at her, like kind of like, really, did you just say that? And she goes, I was like, and Dominique was there. She was looking over. She was like looking at me like, "Are you gonna get offended?" I'm like, "I'm a comedian. I make fun of myself more." But anyways, I was like, and then later on inside, she told her son. Her son, had autism, so he's living with her. And so she goes, "Hey son, come over here. You have to meet him. He's a real Indian." And here's the thing: is their last name is Slaughter. Turns out, whenever I was doing some research into that, because I thought the name sounded familiar.
was his dad named Sergeant?
Right. They're actually descendants, which it was lost in history because so one of their grandparents had actually decided to, it was during the time that everybody was racist, so they all denied being indigenous if they could get away with it. But the name comes from, I think it was Cherokee or the Choctaw, one of those two.
Okay.
And so they actually had indigenous background. They just didn't know because they kept being told, no, we don't.
Right. You saying that maybe I can't think of what the word is right now. I'll try to come back to it. I'll try to remember. But it's talking about my heritage of what I am, and my dad would always be like, "You're part, you're part Irish, Scott, Cherokee, and black." Oh, it's black something, and but I would always ask him, "What is that?" Jill, what is if you're still watching, what is it called? Black something, and I would always ask him, "What is that? What is that?
Is it Black Irish?
Is that what it is? Yeah, it's Black Irish.
Yeah.
I think is what it is." And no, it's not Black Irish because then it just sounds like Irish.
Well, there is a Black Irish because that's what somebody else I knew was.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not
That
Black
one?
Irish. Maybe I don't know. But either way, I would ask him like, "What is that?" And he was like, "I really don't know." And so one day I was looking up, just simple with Google,
Hmm.
and people that were, if you were Jew and didn't want people to know that you were Jewish in your lineage, you were black, whatever this word is. It might be Black Irish, but I don't think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then if you were white and you had someone that was black in your family line, you would say that you were, and it was just a simple way of saying you were something that you weren't proud of. And so I was telling my dad, I was like, the fact that you're Irish and Scott, Cherokee, and Black Dutch. So that's why when you said Black
Okay.
Irish, I'm like, what is Black Dutch? And so I was telling him, I was like, when you're saying you're Cherokee and Black Dutch, I think you're telling me you're Cherokee and Cherokee. And he's like, what do you mean? I think there was probably a point in time that your family history was embarrassed that they were part Cherokee. So they became Black Dutch to just kind of
Yeah.
sweep it under the rug. But then somewhere down the line, people became proud that they were part Cherokee. So then you were Black Dutch and Cherokee. And that's just my own personal.
And that's
funny. That's just my own personal thought of it.
Yeah.
And because Black Dutch is not a
national.
There is something, but what I was reading is not American. Why it's something that's used in a different area.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I think that's someone was trying to avoid saying they were Cherokee back then. So
that makes sense. Because a lot of people don't know this, and especially because a lot of history was lost and it's not taught to everybody else. That's why I do support the School Board of Education. The East, I think it's like the ESTX group, because they're trying to bring it to light, and bring pride to Indigenous children about knowing about their heritage. But a lot of the history was changed and lost, and a lot of people don't realize that back in like back in the old days, to get away from being discriminated against, if you can get away with not being known as Indigenous, you would claim not Indigenous.
Right.
So whole bloodlines became lost that way.
So two of my favorite artists that are musicians have that a situation. So there's an artist that I like. His name is Asanabi, and it's AAYSANABE, and he's from Canada, and he is I believe he's Ojibwe.
Yeah, the one, the Ishnabi.
Yeah, and but he grew up being told that he was Japanese, and it was because of the way the Canadians would treat the Native Americans.
Yeah.
And so he grew up not knowing that he was Native American, and now that he found out as an adult, and that's why all of his music is now Native American driven, because he's trying to be proud of his cultural background that he didn't know about.
That's cool.
And then I think Ray Zaragoza is also, I've already mentioned her tonight, hers as well, that she was, I think it's her, that was raised to believe that she wasn't Native as well, and for the same type of reasons of trying to hide the family history, not embarrassed of it, but trying to avoid violence for being Native American. So
okay,
so,
that's crazy.
And just thinking, like, you would think kind of in our day and time that would be gone, but I don't think it's so much that it exists, is that the family had the history of it and they're still scared of it. And so they lead that fear into the children. And then as he's old enough to realize it's not, probably could still be a little bit, but it's not what it was.
Yeah.
And so we can come out and be proud of what we are, kind of thing. So
And yeah, and even like now, even in the media, you have because indigenous actors have been around for a long time. I mean, of course, Dances with Wolves and all that, and even my cousin, he was in Dances with Wolves. He was also in the remake of The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler.
I'm not laughing at it. You saying
Uh,
Dances with Wolves puts me in somewhere else. Not to interfere with your, I don't mean to cut you off.
you're good.
No. So Jill and I have this thing that you get around certain people, how to work off of one another.
Yeah.
And so if you're married and you're around this person all day long, definitely you should know how to work off of one another. And so one of the things that we do is like a Dances with Wolves things. You've heard me say the good trade. Like we'll do stuff and be like, good trade. And, because that's in Dances with Wolves with the knife and the hat.
Yeah.
But another one that we do is we'll look at each other when it's something goofy or kind of gross. We'll look at each other and go, and do you know what that is? Uh, when Kevin Costner's getting his papers and telling him what he's going to go do, that guy's is crazy.
Hmm.
He kills himself. He tells him, "I pissed my pants, and there's nothing you can do about it."
Oh yes, yes.
But he's giving him his orders, and he folds it, and he folds it as much as that little paper can fold, and then he hands it to Kevin Costner. And when he takes it, he's like, he makes this weird, goofy little face.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so when you were saying Dances with Wolves, because we were just doing it like 2 days ago, looking at each other like going, just stupid little sick face kind of thing. So, and it's just one of our things.
Yeah.
So, that we can do, and nobody would know what we're communicating.
Gotcha. A little
So,
inside joke between. Yeah, that's
so
pretty
sorry to
cool.
cut your story.
No,
off
you're
there.
good.
And then you said something earlier about in the very beginning about people not knowing natives still exist.
Hmm.
And I did it on my show 2 or 3 weeks ago. I have a friend that we were good friends with them in Scouts, and they moved to Tennessee.
Hmm.
And he sent me a text message the other night and said they were talking about Native Americans and the Revolutionary War and
Hmm.
how they were helping different sides.
Hmm.
And said one of his wife, or still our friend, one of the fifth grade students said, do Native Americans still even exist? And her reply was, yes. Interesting enough, my friend is Native American. He has a podcast, and that's what he talks to is other Native Americans, and they talk about indigenous things. And so the next text he sent was their homework was that they have to tell a story in third person.
Hmm.
So you're telling the story of someone, right?
Yeah.
First person is yourself, and then okay. So they're telling the story in third person. And one of the students, a boy, created a Native American guy named Cecil Higginbotham, and he's going through the Revolutionary War. And he was saying, so you're in history, you're in a Revolutionary War as this Native American, named Cecil. And
Yeah.
I thought it was cool, so I sent him the link of the QR codes, and so some of the students actually listened to. And that we started that show of talking about them, and
Hmm.
it was just like 5 minutes, but just letting them know like the story got to us here over in Dallas from Tennessee, and yes, Native American. And Jill's like one of the things she hates is when I say it's in my notes. Let me look at my notes. Well, I have that spreadsheet, and that was
Yeah.
one of the first times that I went. You have your screen, and I went beyond the screen with notes. So I forgot that I'd put all these notes down there, and it was going to tell them of in the state of Tennessee where you're at. You're probably right there where the original Choctaws or Chickasaws lived because they lived in parts of Tennessee,
Yeah.
and then the Cherokee. And so it was going to tell them, where you live. These are the origins of me. That's where
Yeah.
they're from, kind of. And I forgot to tell that. And I was like, I'll do it next week. And I was like, those kids probably aren't even listening next week. They moved on. They had their
Yeah.
5 minutes. And
I'll probably make it into a clip that way you can
so,
share it.
but so yes, there are still people out there that do not know.
Oh yeah,
You know,
and actually, whenever I was in high school, and this was, it's still a while back, like 2002, I think was my freshman year. Well, one of our things was that we had to create an IOL, I AOL,
AOL.
IOL, an AOL account, and we had to chat with people in different parts of the world. And so I would literally get questions of people saying, "Do you guys still ride horses to school?" They couldn't believe that
Right.
that they were chatting with an actual, Native American. They're like, "Do you guys ride horseback? Do you guys live in teepees?" I mean, these are like questions that
Yeah,
I would get, and I'm like, I was like, yeah, and I was smart, you know, I was smarty, more than I am now, and I'll be like, yeah, of course we do. You know, I go home to my TP every year, or every night, and then they were like, well, what kind of horse do you ride? Oh yeah, it's a Mustang. It's 67 years old. It sounds really loud too. Lost its muffler.
So when Jill and I first started dating, um, we had never gone to Oklahoma to visit. So I'm the only one that lives here in the Metroplex. All my family is in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And we were going to Oklahoma to go meet people. And the kids were small. Victor is like 2 years old. Uh, so Joe is what, 4, and then Faith is 8, I think is
Yeah.
what it is. And so we're driving down the highway, and I'm like, "Hey guys, we've crossed the Red River. We're in Indian country, kind of thing." And I said, "Hey, I just want to." And Jill has no idea what I'm about to do. I said, "I just want to get you guys ready." I said, "My brother, I think I said he has a house or something, but or maybe I said he's not like us. My brother lives in a teepee, and yeah, basically he's the stereotyping of the Hollywood Indian." And Jill's like looking at me going, "Don't you do that to them. Don't you do that to them." Because and then in the back seat, they're like, "Mom, really? Like, we're gonna go meet kind of like we're gonna go meet Indians." It's like,
Yeah.
no, his brother lives in a house just like we live in a house, and like you're messing up my joke. Come on. I just want them to pull up and be like, "Hey, where's your teepee?" So
Yeah. Whenever the kids were small, there was one time where there was a fire, right? And it kind of there was like puffs of it going up, and I looked over and I was like, "Oh, look, your cousin's talking to me." And they were like, "Oh, really? What are they saying?" I was like, and I started looking at it like I was reading it. I was like, "I don't know. It's gibberish."
uh,
They really thought I was
we
speaking
had
reading smoke signals.
in Cub Scouts we had
We
we had
had a
an event.
comet. Yep, yep.
What was that?
From what we were saying earlier, about you know people not really know
Oh
that.
yeah.
So.
Um, so I was the Cub Master. So I was over the whole Cub Scouts, and then I was the den leader as well.
Mhm.
And we had a thing where we'd have a campfire at the close, one night, and kind of do entertaining, and we'd have all kinds of things. But my daughter had bought me this headdress that had like the bison horns coming out of the headband of it and everything, and it was a super long, like when I put it on, I think it came down just below my waist, but I was letting the scouts wear it,
Yeah.
and even though it wasn't original regalia, it was just something for little kids. It just drew in the interest
Hmm.
because a lot of the scouts is based off of military and Native American culture.
Yeah.
And
That's
so as the kids graduate through their levels, they get face paint and stuff, and that didn't have too much of a problem because you're not teaching. They had to earn their paint, so it's not like you just
giving it away.
yeah, you're not just painting them up and saying you're Indian or anything. They have all these different things they had to complete, and then as part of the grad, and you're telling them like the yellow is for the sun, and it was all very Native American like,
Hmm.
and but they had a drum, and they're like, oh, we use this drum, and they would do the drum from the painting the kids' faces, and it was one of those stupid little cardboard drums with that stretched rubber band top.
Yeah.
And we're like, nope, it's out. That I had a problem with.
Yeah.
Um, but we would do that. And so at this event, I thought, man, what do I want to do to entertain the kids? And we had made these like poster board where it looked like smoke, like basically a white cloud.
Yeah.
And I came out and I had my headdress on and I had a Chickasaw Nation blanket, the little small purple throw blanket. I had that draped over my shoulders and I came out and sitting there and I'm acting like, I'm trying to get in touch with my brother.
Hmm.
And I think our cell phone is not working or he doesn't have a cell phone. And so we act like we have a fire and I'm holding my blanket or something over it. And I go like this. And my daughter Faith is behind me with that cardboard cut out of smoke. It like, she'd pass it off like smoke went in the air. And
Yeah.
her other friend is doing it. And we're like laughing, we're giggling. The kids are loving it. The adults are they think it's funny as can be. And then but that's what I'm doing is like, and then I'm peering out into the behind them and acting like, oh, my brother replied back, and then we would, I don't know if we had ones that said like hello or something, but we just act like we were having a conversation, and they enjoyed it.
Nice.
I look at it now and like super cute, but I don't think I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it again, but
Yeah.
it was funny. The kids loved it.
Somewhere out there, and I don't know where, but there is a so like during the schools whenever they did like the Lewis and Clark days and everything,
Yeah.
we did that where I was at. I was in Comanche, Texas, and that's where I did a lot of my elementary at. But there was this little skit where we were like if we were with Lewis and Clark, right? And I didn't know it at the time, but Lewis and Clark actually went into Blackfeet territory and they got chased out real fast. But so it's kind of funny that I find it ironic that I'm actually in this video and it's talking about it's like, we make shoes and more shoes and more shoes, and we're just drawing up like all pulling up all these shoes but we made. And I was and just kind of thinking about just kind of what you remind me, that kind of remind me of that. I'm like, I don't know where, but if I come across that video, I'm gonna have to put it up there
Right.
somewhere. But it was like the old VHSs and everything, and I'm like, man, that'd be something to find that.
So what was the movie? It's not Lewis and Clark. It's a comedy with Chris Farley and Matthew Perry. Wagons East. Not Wagons East. That's John. That was John Candy. But it's them competing with Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And they
That was
come
good.
across a scene with Graham Greene, but they think they meet a chief. And the guy's like slapping them in the face, and then he like starts going like, or he's like making turkey noises or whatever.
Yeah.
And Graham Greene's like, oh, he's not the chief. We call him Broken Twig, just meaning that he was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, in my phone, where you create names for people, my mom has some like really outrageous stories. I won't go into the stories, but I'm just telling you they are way out there.
Mm.
And so my mom in the phone was Broken Twig. My brother is a person that you could see something happen,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows that you were there with him, but he will tell you a different version. So he's twisted the truth. He's lied about it. And so my brother was Walking Eagle in my phone. And then, oh, go ahead.
Almost Heroes.
Almost Heroes, yes.
Yeah.
And then I can't think of what it's the name. It's something that's very strange, but Maywume, I think is the name. Do you know what that is?
No.
You need to go and look at a 1491 skit where they're talking about Johnny Depp and the was it the Comanche? Because he was being Comanche in the right?
The Lone Ranger.
Comanche Nation like inducted him as a, what do you call it, like a honorable honorary Comanche or whatever. And they're doing this account where like witness account, but it's where they're silhouetted in the background. You can't tell, but and their voices are changed, and someone's acting like they're Johnny Depp. And anyway, his name was created. It was Maywu, which is like shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And so one of my cousins, his name Maywu in my phone or whatever, So,
nice.
But they never see these. It's just something that I laugh at whenever it pops up in my phone. So.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm gonna have to I guess I'm gonna have to do some of those for like you and Eli and everybody else. Have my own little name for everyone.
My dad likes to come up with nicknames for everybody too. So he's got like it'll be like I'll hear one name for them and I'll be like, so this guy, and I'll say the name and my sister's be like, who? And I'll say the name again and go like, no, like some of those guys' names Nico and Plus, right? That's not the real name. And I didn't know that wasn't the real name. I thought it was the real name. I was like, hey, that's kind of a cool name, I guess. But it turns out it was a nickname that my dad does. So he gives everybody nicknames.
It's easier that way for some people.
Yeah.
So.
But anyways, I do want people to go ahead and support your show. We've been going for about 2 hours. So
okay.
I want us to give us rest. Now, I do want to take into your consideration about the time. That is actually a really good idea because I get off kind of late too. As you saw, I got here just before you did. Yeah, he almost beat me here for sure. Because the days have been getting later and everything, and so the longer during the winter, it made a little bit more sense because I do roofing and I was doing solar. So when it got dark outside, I wasn't out there anymore. But now that it's getting a little bit later at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or 8 o'clock really makes a bit more sense. So that way I can end before the late shows start and take over. The late shows. No. But anyways, for everybody who's watched, we thank you and appreciate you guys for checking out the show. Also go and definitely support the show right here. go ahead and tell them a little bit more.
Yeah, so the Ndgns show, it's a 2-hour talk show. Hopefully I was entertaining enough for the 2 hours here, hopefully. But yeah, we just talk about Indigenous culture, movies, a little bit of everything just from an Indigenous perspective. And yeah, the QR code is to our Facebook page as well as the connection to our station that we broadcast from.
Perfect. And you, whenever you go to his page, which is on Facebook, also I wanted to put it on here. If you go to the ad, you'll actually see his page, and there I forgot how to spell it. I'm gonna put it in the comments so people can. Oh, well,
What's that?
actually, you're actually one of the
Indigenous?
co-hosts. I added you as one of the co-hosts to the show, so
Oh.
they can actually follow the link off the show
Gotcha.
itself from the live to your page. And I'll be adding it too whenever we do the whenever I do the outtakes or the little clips.
Yeah.
I'll definitely add it at the end. Okay.
Okay.
And you will definitely know that you're there because you'll see stuff like this right here, as well as some of the other guests that he has coming on and some of his co-hosts right there. And actually, you know what, Eli's and coming on the show here. He was actually supposed to come.
Yeah,
on
he was supposed to come on a
ago,
couple of weeks ago.
but he wasn't feeling too good, and so but I have him coming on in the middle of April because I kind of get booked out. Sometimes I'll have a little bit of an opening and a little bit of leeway, or especially with somebody that I really want on the show, I won't ask somebody else
So
and go till last
we
minute.
do have, because we had no guests this week,
Mhm.
and Shy talked to Annette Anderson. So Annette's going to come in,
Oh, nice.
and we're like, you keep showing that one that says the Lady of the Lake.
Yeah.
White Rock Lake around here, guys. This has a like a lot of lakes around America, has the tale of the Lady of the Lake.
Mm-hmm.
But this tale has been going since the 1930s. This
Oh,
is stuff
wow.
that I've been finding. You know, I'm reading up about it, and
Yeah.
but our show is going to be talking about the Lady of the Lake. We want to talk about the ghost aspect of things, but also that before White Rock Lake is a man-made reservoir, but it was still a waterway.
Yeah.
That's why they built it, you know. But they have found through the past century evidence of where Native Americans were living around and so
Oh, wow.
Lady of the Lake will lead into Native American culture, not just as a ghost story,
Yeah.
but how Native Americans did live in the area.
Okay.
So
definitely tune in. That's Thursdays at
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Central.
Yeah. Central Standard Time.
Central Standard.
Sist. Or kissed. Whichever way you look at it. It's definitely go and check it out Thursdays. And you know, my show was almost going to be on Thursdays actually, and so I'm kind of glad that I
you were saying
because actually no, I did actually during season 1 I switched it to Thursday evenings, and then this time I was like, you know what, I don't want it on Thursdays, let me put it on Tuesday, and so worked out really good. Glad it did. So now we don't have to miss your show.
All right, peace and show everyone.
All right. Yakita Matson, till we meet again. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next week with our next guest as well. All right, take it easy.